Motion, all those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. Thanks for the amazing work.
No, great. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Item 10, the Food Resilience Network. And we've got, is it Josh again, Gary and John? Are you going to introduce this for us or just take it as read?
Just very briefly, just to say that we have done a lot of work around this report. We received an application for a loan earlier in the year and have been kind of working through options, and so the accumulation of that is presented to you today.
Thank you. Was there anything you wanted to add to the recommendation? That you're working through that security issue?
Security.
Just a comment around the possibility that was brought up at the committee last week around the security.
Yeah.
We'll just need a little bit more time. It'd be great to have some time just to have a look at what the implication of that is, because it's on our land.
Yeah.
And so what taking that off would mean, but we're happy for it to be considered.
That's great.
If the council were of a mind to ask council to do some work there, we've taken the liberty of drafting a recommendation that may be suitable, and that's with the secretary at the moment.
Okay, can we have a look
Only
at
if
it?
council were of a mind.
Where is it?
It's coming up.
It's coming up. There we go. Request staff to investigate options to modify the council's security interest over the Otakaro Orchard project facility in order to allow the Food Resilience Network greater ability to secure third-party funding and report back to the council in February 2025. Is that enough time for you?
Yes.
February? Great. Okay, I think that looks fair and good, because when Hayley made a public forum the other day, she said that actually they were tied by that, and that will enable them to go out and seek third-party funding that's not council. Also offering this, the 34,939 to cover the 1 year of interest in principal on
Yes.
the loan, gives them that time to work up other funders as well. So I think that's a very good solution here. Right, we'll open it up for some questions. Councillor Curran, then Councillor Templeton.
Yeah, so I have some concerns over this one, because some of the things that Hayley is saying and some of the members of the group differ from what's in our report. And so I don't think we should be making this decision today, because the two aren't lining up, and this is potentially a very valuable asset to the city. I believe it's a tourist attraction that should be open as soon as possible. Is there any chance that we can do a non-public workshop of some sort with their group and Hayley in here and the staff, so we can get the exact lay of the land and get to an outcome that works for everyone?
So the basic,
or we do that and everyone's not happy, and we still make this decision.
The basic view of where staff are from here is that currently they have a $150,000 loan that they're unable to service currently. So I don't think it's financially prudent, personally, to ask staff to recommend, and they're not, providing them a further $350,000. But this solution that we've come up with today gives the Otakaro Orchard time to get on their feet, and we can look at it again later on. And I don't know that a workshop's going to help that, Councillor Curran, but we'll keep it in mind. Councillor Templeton?
It's strange to be saying this, but I was going to suggest the same thing as Councillor Keon. I think it's actually good for us to be able to discuss the more commercially sensitive parts of it with the group. And I mean, I was going to also look at maybe whether there was a different amount, what level would staff be comfortable at, those kind of things. And I'm just wondering if a bit more work needs to be happen on that. So is there a different amount level that you would feel more confident with? Because I don't know from the group, for example, whether it's all or nothing on this. So, those kind of things I think haven't been teased out yet.
We've spent quite a bit of time with this group, and so the reality is at the moment there's a $150,000 loan that's been out there that there's been no repayments on. that the first repayment of principal was due in August after extending just interest only for an extra 18 months. So there is one payment that is already unable to be paid in August. The next one in December will unable to be paid. The 34,939, if that was granted, would cover through to the middle of next year. I guess from us, we're just merely saying that a $350,000 loan to complete a building after council contributing $350,000 already is a big question. And so from our viewpoint, that financially is a struggle. I get the importance of the project, but that's not what we're asked about. We're asked about
I think we need to add
loan.
too that actually there's only 209,000 in the loan account at the moment, so they couldn't get 350 anyway.
Yeah.
And secondly, that council's not cutting them off. It's like what you've offered today is actually implying that we still support the project and we want to give them time to get on their feet. It's not easy times to raise money, we know that. John?
Essentially, the rationale behind the officer recommendation is there's insufficient evidence of the ability to repay, insufficient evidence of the ability to complete the project, and there's a lack of clear project assumptions and project planning. We've had 5 or 6 sets of eyes over this, including an independent. That is the background for the recommendation that we allow the group a year's grace to reformat, come back, provide additional information and move on from there. So that's really the rationale that underpins the officer recommendation.
So, because, I totally agree with Councillor Kerr, and I really believe in this project too. I think it's going to be a really successful project in the centre of city, and look at the building now, it's incredible. Could we, to give comfort, could we put a noting addition in here that inviting the group to come back, not demanding, but inviting them to come back and engage with staff, say, May, June? You said 6 months they'd get?
I could say we have ongoing.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, so can
we
we
could
put
do
it,
that.
say, in May next year, and that would give us, we'll see how we go there.
Yeah.
Councillor Scandrett?
Thank you. So, irrelevant of the value of this project, and I might be a wee bit slow here, but they haven't made any payments on the loan that they've got of $150,000.
No.
the interest they've paid.
I'm asking staff.
Since
Thanks.
September.
Yep. So the 34,939 that we're discussing is going to go to them to pay us
We would put that on the loan.
on the loan to spend on other things.
We would pay that off the loan, which gives them a year's grace from September this year.
And they want to get rid of the loan of 150,000, which would be then 180,000 or whatever it is. So if they got
We
rid-
wouldn't be adding it to the
We
loan.
wouldn't add it. We would use it to pay their payments for a year
their payments for what?
for the $150,000.
That's what I just said before.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So, they,
Interest in principle.
yeah, to us, because the loan's with us. So we're paying ourselves. So I'm just clarifying it for the ratepayers who might be listening. So we're paying them to pay us, which they haven't done, basically. So with the discussion with the third party, so they don't have a loan, so that would help them with third parties. Where are these? Why haven't any third parties come to them yet? Because
I can't answer that question. You'd have to ask them. My understanding is that they've applied, but because we've held security over the project, that's been the issue.
Yeah.
so is it? Because my concern is there's and as it was mentioned by my fellow councillor, that hard times are here now, and it is really hard to get funding for a number of organisations, and that's just because it's a reflection of more people need more. So I'm just wondering if in the ether, these third parties, what happens if if they're non-existent and we've forgiven them the loan, of which will be around about, well, let's be honest, it's rising because we're giving them money to give us back, which they haven't given us. So that's actually, they're getting close to 200 grand.
Yeah. So it's the crux here is they have a cost to complete their building, and they need that building operational in order to repay the loan. And this is to Councillor Templeton's question about, can we change the number? The group have advised us that really any smaller than 350 additional wouldn't get them to a place of being able to open and operate, and so they wouldn't be able to pay back the amount.
So there's no...
So if a third party, let's say we released the security and a third party didn't come, they would still be in the same situation of needing to finish the build.
But is a third party going to be like a mortgage against the building?
That's what they're suggesting.
But they can't afford the loan they've got now, so they're saying that if they finish the building, they will be able to function and be paying off money.
Correct.
But not to us, not to the ratepayers of Christchurch. They can
to us and the third party lender.
So we've forgiven a loan of rising up to $200,000, which is what we're talking about. So they can go.
We're talking about releasing the securities on the mortgage,
Not the loan.
but keeping the loan.
But then they're going to have a mortgage of a third party against the building, and if you talk to a bank, they will be the first off the line if things go wrong.
Yeah.
So the odds of us ever getting back the 200 or 150 to 200 are about zero. Let's be honest.
That is why we've asked for the little bit of extra time. We just need to work out what that implication is. That only came up last week as an idea, so we just need to work it through a bit more.
Okay, thank you.
And I think, Tim, I think you do have to be careful with that statement. I mean, there's a presentation from Hayley the other day outlining where they believe they're going to get their income for, and they strongly believe that they will be sustainable. So, but this just gives us time to work on it. Who have we got now? Councillor Kewen, then Councillor Donovan, and then Harrison Hunt.
So I'll try and make my request again in a different way, so I'm not repeating myself. But would there be any chance of us in next week's, so holding this over for a week, and in next week's meeting having 30 minutes put aside in PX to bring the group in and do a please explain, and then we make this decision based on that? Because if they can spell it out, I just think too many councillors here are confused. They don't quite understand what's going on here. We had a great presentation, like you just said, from Hayley, and that made sense. They've got what they believe is a business program that will be sustainable, and this thing's an exemplar of what Share an Idea was about. And then we're going to let it fall over at the last minute, I think, because the numbers just aren't quite lining up, and that's why we need to do it in PX and everyone know, and then us make the decision after that.
No, there won't be time next week.
Is there another Finance and Performance Committee meeting? There is, isn't there?
We're not debating yet, are we?
No, but I'd like your advice on whether
I guess the challenge I have with it, and I get where people are coming from. The Mayor and I went down there. I think Pauline, you came with us as well. About 2 years ago when we had the Better Off funding, we literally wrote a cheque. I think you came with us to finish the building. The money hasn't been spent on the building, and they can't repay what we've already lent them.
I think they did spend most of it on the building, but some.
No, well, not from what Hayley was saying last week. So.
Can we? Is there a possibility, Madam Chair, to take this into PX, because there's a lot of commercial sensitivities that we're talking about here? Yeah. I mean, and then we can come back and ask the questions that relate to this item here, but there's a lot of sensitive things that we're talking about.
Could we deal with this once we go into PX? That would be a better
hang
way to
on,
go.
but I mean, it's public money.
Yes, I know, but we can make the decision in public. The thing is that what we're talking about here is there's some councillors think that there's a discrepancy between the organisation Otakaro Orchard view and our council staff view. So, in order to give comfort to, can I have an indication of how
procedural
many
motion.
councillors are actually confused about that? Or
So we've got a procedural motion that has to be taken immediately. So
we're from?
Councillor Templeton.
So I'd like to move that the report be left on the table to the next council meeting in order to enable a workshop to be held.
It probably won't be able to go to the next council meeting, or we'll have to take something else off.
It would have to go to finance and performance. I think we'd probably squeeze it in there. Would that be all right?
Or you could say the next available council meeting. It could be the new year.
So, okay, yep, it'll be in the new year. Yeah, but we'll have to leave it up to staff to see when the next available meeting that it'll fit into. We've got chocker agendas and annual plan.
No, I don't think that's
Which, if that's what it is,
it's not. Yeah, but it's not moving to a next meeting.
Do you want to adjourn for morning tea and then let people come up with the wording?
Should I have open until the break?
I think it's a sensible thing to do. There is some.
We're not rushing it. Yeah, so talk about it. It's a big decision.
It's not going to change.
Or we just have a meeting that's a few minutes longer. I mean, because we haven't seen the upcoming meetings.
Will be considered the next.
That the item being discussed, not under debate, the item being discussed should be adjourned to a specific time and place and not be further discussed at the meeting. So that's a procedural motion. No, this one, the one before it is about debate. So 20.2b is that the motion under debate should now be put, but 20.2c is the item being discussed. Okay.
I'm more concerned with getting your motion really right. So then we can put that and move on. So are you happy with that wording that's there now? Please put the report to lie on the table to enable a workshop to be held.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. As soon as practicable. Because there's a heavy workload at the moment for everyone. Okay. Is there any debate on that?
A chairperson has the discretion about whether to allow any other procedural motion that is not contained in these standing orders.
Thank you. I'm happy for it to be a motion.
Okay.
Councillor Kieran?
Yeah, I will ask everyone to vote for this to lay on the table because I do believe there is some confusion here. That we had the presentation from the group. For those that have gone down and seen it, I truly believe this will be an asset to the city that's unparalleled to other cities as a tourist attraction. So beyond what it does for a local network of people that are involved in it, and the feel good and the mental health and everything like that, that's one thing. But for me, this is a flagship tourist attraction that no other city or town in this country has anything like it. And we need to get this right, and we need to get it open as soon as possible. So please support this motion to lay it on the table and get to a really good outcome.
Yeah, I won't support this. So the paper's very, very clear in terms of the process we've been through, the amount of time that's gone into it by the council staff working with the organisation. As I mentioned before, I went down and visited them with the mayor, and I'm sure you came along as well, Pauline, and we managed to arrange some better off funding from the team to what was meant to finish the building. That hasn't been finished. The reality is there's not enough money sitting in this pot anyway, so bringing it back to council was simply being unfair on the organisation. What would be more effective would be to request with urgency the work around the security to see whether there's a practical way they can go to another organisation, whether it is someone like Rata, to give them more money, to loan them more money, because the reality is we're being incredibly unfair on them. Bringing this back, which will be in the new year, the reality is the agendas will struggle this side of Christmas. You may get it to F&P at a stretch, but we're going to kick them along and drag them along when the reality is we're just not being fair on them. So I think, people want us to make decisions. We're just pushing something again down the road, and we're being incredibly unfair on an organisation. When we've run through a process, there's not enough money in that budget. The reality is if we are going to give them the money, then we need to add something again into the annual plan. We're meeting about the annual plan next Tuesday as well. So it all just feels very ad hoc when the staff have done a very good report that paints the picture. Look, I agree it's a very awkward situation for them, but we'd be far better to act with urgency around the security and see whether there's a pragmatic way to do something there. Simply loaning them more money they can't repay back is not going to fix their situation at all.
Thank you. And with the will of the mover, can we bring item number 6 into your
Numbers 4 and 6 to bring those into the motion? Because it's a really nice practical way, and
you can't bring
that could have just been moved as an amendment.
Because that was the decision for today, but you can bring 6 in.
Yep.
So bring 6 in, please.
Yep. Yeah. Which he could have just moved as an amendment, but.
So.
Well, no. I mean, if we're going to be petulant, the reality is that that's actually not what I said. That there is requesting staff to investigate options.
Yep.
What I said, Sarah, was that it's acting with urgency for a pragmatic solution. So I'm sorry, we have a different view on it, but the reality is I was trying to find a solution as opposed to playing politics.
Yeah, okay, it's okay. But bringing 6 in is going to help solve the funding issue, hopefully. There's no harm in having it in there.
Sorry, can we just adjourn for morning tea and you guys can chat and sort out what you want to do?
I think we're nearly there. So, Councillor Harrison Hunt.
Yeah, I really do wish we were able to have a break for a wee bit to just hone in on this, because at the moment, what does seem ad hoc is the process of this procedural motion being put forward. I'm going to support Councillor Templeton's and Councillor Kewen's motion here, but this feels rushed. It feels like we're rushing through before morning tea to get this over the line, and I'd honestly prefer to sit back and get this honed in, because that's what we do all the time. However, I know that it's not possible by way of the chair and council. That's absolutely fine, but I'm going to support this. And I do actually know that we're going to be cramming a lot of things in the agenda in the December month. I know we always do in December, but I'm pretty sure that we can take a lot of reports as read, as we always do, and get that done so we can actually nut this out. So I'm really hoping for December 18th gets across the line for us to be able to deliberate on. Kia ora.
Bearing in mind it may well be next year. Is there any more debate? We'll invite Councillor Templeton to close. You right?
Can I just clarify though? Sorry, Pauline, to be difficult, and I feel like I have been difficult with this one. Just be really clear what we're voting on. This is to enable a workshop to then get a paper to another meeting. We have 2 weeks left of meetings for the year, so we need to get a workshop when all of next Tuesday, when we have briefings, we're in an annual plan meeting. I just hope people realise if you're wanting this before the end of the year, it's very, very unlikely.
That's right. Just to be clear, it may not happen till early next year.
Yeah, so
We don't.
And I think that's still okay.
Just to be really clear that Tuesday next week is not a briefing slot. There is no time for
council
workshop.
day.
It's council day.
Okay. All right, closing debate.
So can I just be clear what we're actually, there's 2 resolutions have been put?
Yes. 1 and 2.
Right. And they're not procedural, they're just substantive.
Yeah.
Councillor Templeton?
So I'd encourage people to support this today. Having an extra briefing or workshop for half an hour really shouldn't be a particularly onerous thing on councillors here. You know, we are, well paid for 40 hours a week, and being able to slot in an extra half hour before the Christmas shouldn't be a big deal. We have various reports and things that we call for extra work on. This one is a big decision for a particular organisation within the city, which has an enormous potential to draw visitors and support locals. And I would hate for us to be just making a decision quickly when it's very clear from the conversation around the table today that people wanted more information. They didn't feel well enough informed, and I'd hate for us to rush that. So I think a workshop is a really good idea, and I'd encourage people to vote for that.
All right, on that note, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Can you raise your hands for opposed, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you want them noted? Yeah. Yep, can we note those, please?
I've got McDonald's, Cooper, Goff, Barber, McClellan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
Oh, and Fields.
Yeah. All right, so that is carried. Thank you. And bearing in mind that might not be till next year. So what are we up to? So we'll just move quickly through to item 11 and then we'll break for morning tea.